I was reading about your project, and as you said, it's Bopilot. Do I say it correctly?
Yeah, that's right.
And which is a research-based innovation project to shape the future of the housing market. Am I describing it right? And what is it that you are researching to make this project happen?
Yeah, that's right. It's Bopilot, and it's translated into city pilot. So it's a pilot to look at how we, as a municipality, can be a driving force for alternative housing solutions. Because we believe that in today's housing production, which is characterized by high density and quite similar apartments, similar housing projects popping up. We need more different types to reach our society's goals of socially inclusive, climate-friendly, urban and residential environments. We want to make more spaces and more arenas to meet each other across the different stakeholders to meet and talk about housing and try to innovate together.
How does it happen in practice?
I'm working with a city architect. So we have had different activities during the past 2 years where we have been working on these things. And the first thing we did was to make a digital statistics in a way, where we sent out to 8,000 inhabitants in Bergen a form with questions about how do you want to live in the future. And we have this plot here in Bergen where in some years possibly there will be a new urban village with increased amounts of shared spaces for the inhabitants. So this is our case in a way. All the things that we are making and finding out in Bopilot can happen here. The main goal of Bopilot is to show both inhabitants and builders and architects that if we share more, we can gain a lot.
What do you mean by these shared spaces and this shared living?
So you could share in a complex. You can have a place to make dinner together, for instance. It could be a shared living room if you live in a Coop building. It can be to have access to a common house in the neighborhood where you can celebrate your 16th year birthday or your silver wedding or just your Friday celebration or something like that, so that we have places as a community to come together, because we think that lacks in modern society and in modern cities. And we know that a lot of people live alone, and we know that a lot of people are feeling lonely, both young people and older people. And we know that this is a health issue, a health problem. And we believe that if we use architecture as a tool to make beautiful places for people to meet, people would want to meet, and it will give us added value on a lot of areas in society. But the next activity that we made was a design sprint, where we invited architects and builders and inhabitants and people from the municipality to meet in 3 groups and to make architectural solutions for how we can live together and how we can share. And the third was a hackathon, which was a 24-hour sprint or competition for participants to apply as different themes and make suggestions for a new digital platform, an app or a web page or something, where you could go in and look to find somebody who would like to live like you, somebody who would like to build something that is different from where we have already. We had a winner, and they are now working on trying to make this application or web page come into life.
I think it's really beautiful to hear that there are groups of people who know their needs, and they actually don't only complain about what's wrong, but they take an active stance and go and look for someone who can help them create what they need. Are there many groups of such interest groups that look for solutions and actively invest themselves?
In Norway, we have quite a lot of those groups. There is a group in Oslo that got to build together in the 80s or 90s. It's called Fris gate, Fris Street, and it's an example of a good co-oping project. Vindmøllebakken in Stavanger, that I mentioned to you before, which is now exhibited in the Venezia Biennale also. They didn't know each other beforehand, but the architects took a stance and said, we need these kinds of building, gaining by sharing, they call it, and they initiated this as a meeting place and wanted to involve the future inhabitants on an early stage. So they said, we would like to build this project where we share a lot of things and live in climate-friendly lives and be social and take part in each other's lives. Who would like to join? So they had a lot of appliances, and they had a lot of people who would like to live like this, and they did a lot of co-working projects. I think we are on a threshold to something new now, and I think people have more thoughts and many more thoughts about how to live, what's important in our lives, and what do we want to share and acknowledge both the way the space you live in is formed, like what is the architecture consist of, and what do we have access to, both possibilities to walk outside and be social in our neighborhood, in the near neighborhood, and to find happiness in the collective neighborhood. You don't have to go to London or Paris, or you can really enjoy your own surroundings. I know in many of these habitation projects with co-living, they have these groups where you can either be part in food making or in taking care of the greenery, or cultural groups or what have you. It's not felt as a duty, but as a possibility. Architecture is both visible and invisible. So the visible part is obviously what you see when you look at a building, and the invisible part is all the knowledge and all the things you have found out about how this would be used beforehand. So it's all the thoughts and it's all the understanding that the architect and the builder can marinate themselves in before starting to draw this. Then you can make a colorful and inclusive society, I guess.